Hey guys, welcome back. So in last video I was talking about how you can write different function, and we have seen that a lot of example like how we should write a function, right? So in the function, as a part of Java 8 we have a lot of functions which is provided in Java 8. Okay, there are specific functions which we will try to understand. Like for every to perform every actions in a Java, you have specific functions, right, which is provided in Java 8. We will see that one by one, like what else functions we need to understand. So there is a functions called double functions. So let me write one example. Double function example. Here let me write one functions called double function. So you can look at here. So when you write a double is the functions present in the Java util package, right? And just click on that double functions. Now click on control, click on double functions. So this is your double function. So basically this is also present in the Java util package, and what it does is represents a functions that accept double value argument, right, and produces a result. So it will accept the double value argument and it will produce the result. Now what result it will produce? Okay, so if you look at this functional interface, what we can see that is we have a double function and which will take type of object, right? So when you create the functions for this double functions, and whatever object you supply in the angle bracket, it will return the same output. Okay, and it also has a method called apply method. So this apply method will be performed on the functions, and the output of the apply method is nothing but the object which you supplied in the angle bracket. Okay, so let us see that with example. So in angle bracket, let's say I am going to supply object as a type integer. Okay, create a reference, press on control space bar, then d is nothing but I am going to supply one input, okay, to this function. And what I will do, right angle bracket, and I am going to multiply by 20. Okay, I am going to multiply by 20. So if you look at, when I wrote these functions, I am getting compile time error. The reason being is this is your double function. So from double functions, you want the output to be integer. You want the output to be integer. So when you multiply the double with 20, you will get double. You will not get integer. So what we need to do here is we need to typecast, right? And now the error will go off. So this is my functions. What this guy will do, this will multiply with 20 and it will give me the integer. Now let us test these functions, like how these functions will work. Make a main method. I'll make this as a static so that I don't need to create the object of the class to call that. And now okay, I'll write SYSO control space bar, and inside that I will call this double functions dot, there is a method called apply. So if you look at this apply method, what is the input it is expecting? It is expecting input of type double, right? So here I'm going to supply, let's say 20.90. This is double data type, right? So what will happen? This, when we will perform the apply, basically what happens is it will call these functions internally, and in these functions the d will this 20.90 will get assigned to d and it will multiply by 20. And what would be the output? Output will be integer. So if I will run this, you can see that output is 400, right? Because when you basically multiply 20.90 with 20, the output will be more, okay, but you want integer, so whatever comes after decimal, that will be ignored and your output is going to be 400, right? Let me write one more function. So what I am going to do here is I am going to divide, okay, and this is my different function, so I need to change the reference name. So this is my second functions. Now let me call this function. So this functions, what it will do, it will divide and it will give you the integer output from that, okay. Run a Java applications, you can see that you got 1 because you're dividing by 20. So when you divide, it will be 1 point something, but since this functions, what output you are expecting integer output, so it will not consider a decimal point. Now you might be wondering, like, why we are writing these functions, what is the point of learning the functions, right? This is like we are building the knowledge so that this all knowledge we can utilize in the collection framework, okay. Because what happens when you start with any mathematics, first you try to understand what is the addition, what is the subtractions, then finally when you do multiplications, you will understand, okay, this is the benefit of additions and this is the benefit of subtractions, right? And when all three comes together, then you will come to know that, okay, which one should do first and which one we should do last. So we need to build the knowledge so that if I have to use these functions in collections frameworks, we can use it, right? So try to know all the functions given by Java library, right? So double functions is the functions which what it will do, it will consume the double data, okay, it will consume the double type of data and it will give you the output based on the object you supply in the angle bracket. So this is double functions. Now similarly we have a functions called double to integer, okay. So let me write that one more example, one more class for that. Double to int function example, okay. So now first we will try to understand what this guy will do. So the name itself indicates that it will convert your double data to the integer data. Let me write this double, let me look at for these functions, double to int, yeah, this is the one. So this is again, it's a functional interface. When you will click on that, when you go inside, press control, click on this functional interface. So again it has only one method, apply as int. So it will what it will do, it will take input as a double and your output is going to be integer. Like, it's very clear with the method itself, like we don't need to put extra effort here to understand this. The name itself says that it will convert double data to the integer data. Let's see that how this will work. So this is my double function, and one more thing we need to understand. If you look at here, double to int functions, here I don't need to pass, I don't need to supply what object I need as an output, right? Because it will always give you the output as an integer from double, right? In the previous example, what happened is, in the double functions, the double will be converted based on your object, based on your data, right? So let's say if I will go back to my previous example and let's say I want, write double, write here float, why autofill will not work here, okay, no problem, I can write, and let's say here if I'll write float, okay, here what output I will get, I'll get output as in float from double. You got my point, right? So here I need to supply what object I need in the angle bracket. But what happens in these functions, in this functional interface, this automatically whatever double you will supply, finally it will convert to the integer, right? So sorry, create the reference for this function is equal to what I need to do. Let's say whatever data I will supply, this will get converted to integer. Clear? This is my function, right? Now let me make a main method. Sorry, I always do this mistake. Okay, now make this as a static, so I don't need to create the object. We'll copy this syso dot apply an int, and what I will do is I will write 90 dot some data, right? What is the output I am going to get? I will get output as a 90, right? I will get output as an 90 because the functions itself will convert your double data to the integer data. You got my point? Now guys, you might be wondering why I write like this, a, then arrow, and then int a. The reason is there is only one argument. When there is only one argument, and after arrow, if there is no more line, if there is only one line, I don't need to write curly braces. See, the same thing I can do by writing in the different way, right? Same thing I can do like this. I can write a curly braces, I can end with the curly braces, and I can write here return, and then I can write here 1, right? So if you look at, both works in the same way. Okay, so what is the issue here? Okay, right? Now either you write in the first way or you write in the second way, both are same. It's not going to be different. Even let's say if we'll go and if we'll make it in the parenthesis, even this will work fine. But since there is only one argument to these functions, and I'm not doing much thing here, I'm just converting to the integer, I don't need to write this curly braces. You go for the curly braces when you have multiple lines of calculations and finally you are returning some data. Go with that, okay, when you have more than one line. Also for the argument, when there is only one argument, you don't need to write the parenthesis, right? Because that's what the functional programming is all about, like how good code you write, how less numbers of line you write. That is all about the functional programming, right? So I hope that you are clear with this double to int functions. Basically it will convert your double data to the integer data type. Similarly, what you have is double to long, okay, double to long. So double to long, if I have to ask you, the name itself suggests that what it will do, it will convert your double data to the long data. So let me do one thing. Let me copy this. I can write it here, and let me change the function's name to long. Okay, and here also let me change to reference name to long, right? And here let me change to long. We have to import this, so click on Control spacebar. You can see that double to long, it's a functional interface, right? Now if you look at, your error is gone. Your error is gone. Now what these functions will do? These functions, whatever you will supply to these long functions, it will convert your double data to the long. So when you press on Control and click on this, if you go inside, see here, represent the functions that accept double value argument and produces long value result. Clear explanation, right? It also has one method called apply as long. Apply as long. Guys, one more thing we need to understand here. If you look at whatever functional interface we have as a part of Java 8, which has annotations called functional interface. Now, where is the implementations of these methods? Where is the implementations? See, whatever you are designing, that is nothing but the implementations of these functions. Okay, so whenever you go and whenever you write this this line, this is nothing but the implementations of those methods, right? So basically whatever you are writing here, like how this should get converted to the long, right? So what is this? This is nothing but the implementations of this method. You got my point? Clear, right? So when you go here and when you click on this, sorry, I was just clicking on the wrong point. So it will take you to the functions, and this is nothing but the implementations of this method is nothing but in your code itself, right? So let me test the code. We will see that what would be the output, and here it should be apply as long. So you will not see much difference, because if you look at the output both for the integer and for the long, it will be the same, because this data is a small data, so you will not see the difference. But what is the type of this data? This type of data is long. So why I am saying that the type of data is the long, because when you take this out and when you store into a variable, let's say I write a variable called data. When I'll place mouse over here and when I click on create local variable, look at the type, it is long, right? Whereas the type of this data is integer. So that's a difference, right? And it's a big difference. So you know that every data has a range, every data works in the different way. So long, yes, it has a different usage, different memory size altogether. Integer has a different range, different memory size altogether. So you got the point how these functions works. These functions will convert double to the integer, these functions will cover double to the this function will convert double to the long. Similarly, what we have a functions called int functions. Okay, why I am getting here compile time error? Anything wrong? No, nothing. Similarly, we have a functions called int functions. We'll see that how int functions will work. Int functions example. So the int functions example, basically what here it happens is, this also has a method called apply method. Okay, and here your output will be what you supply in the angle bracket. So what I'm trying to say that is, when you write int functions, int fun, so look at here, this also present in the Java util function. Okay, and click on that. When you go inside int functions, look at this. This is similar to double function, what we have seen that, right? This guy also accepts input value and it produces the result based on what you supply in the angle bracket. If you supply double in the angle bracket, your output is going to be double. When you supply float, your output is going to be float. When you supply long, your output is going to be long. It also has a method called apply method, so it will just perform the apply on your input. So let's see that how this will work. Let me write here double, create a reference, and then a angle bracket, and what I am going to do is I'll be writing that a into 9.877. okay, now I will go here, I'll create a main method, and then I'll make this as a static, so I don't need to create the object. What I am going to do is I'll copy these functions, I'll write one print statement dot, it has a method called apply, and I'm going to supply 90. So what happens now, when you supply 90 here, it will do the calculations and your output is going to be double, right? Let me test that. You can see that this is your output, 898.83 is the output. Now let me show you some other example. Here what I will do, I will just multiply by 9 and I will see that what output I am going to get. So here I have to cast into double, because the previous one was of type double, so I don't need to do typecast, but here I have to typecast. Okay, cast from int. Okay, what is the problem it is facing? Okay, fine. So I was writing a wrapper class, but here I have to use primitive data type. So now let me do one thing. Let me run this program, and now let's see that what is the output is going to get. So this is the function 1, right? See, 81.0. Why 0.0 is coming? Because you are changing integer to double, right? Now the same functions you can write in the multiple ways. So what I can write from integer to integer. Okay, this is my function 3, and let's say I will write here test dot get length. Sorry, will this work? Yes, this will work, because your string dot length, what is the outcome? Integer. So these functions will give you the length of the string, right? So you can see that through integer functions I am getting the output is equal to integer. Similarly, I can go and I can write for float. I can go here, I can change to float. Okay, this is a function 4, and what I will do here is I will write a by, let's say, 8. Okay, and then I will do here float, right? You can see that how you can get the output from the integer data based on the type of object you supply in the angle bracket. Clear? That's how int functions works. Now in next example we will see that when we were talking about the double functions, we had double to integer, double to long. Similarly here also we have integer to double. So how that guy works is, when you are going to use a functions called integer to double, int to double functions, right? This is also present in the Java util, right? Java util function. So integer to double, here we don't need to supply the argument to the functions. Okay, we don't need to supply. When you will go inside the functions, press on control, click on this into double functions. This guy represents a function that accepts integer value argument and produces a double result. You can see that it produces a double result. It is a part of Java 1.8. okay, and it has a method called apply as double. So here I don't need to supply any object in the angle bracket, because this functional interface aim is to whatever integer you will supply, it will finally convert to the double. So let's see that. A and use this, right? Now let me test this. Dot, what happened? Okay, it should be static. I cannot call directly without a static. Dot apply as double, and let's say that I'm going to supply 90. So if you look at the difference here, in integer functions I was mentioning the type, what type I want. Here I don't need to mention the type. So if I run this, see, you are getting that double as an output. That is one functions. The second functions, let's say you have integer to double, right? You create one more, and what you do, we will go and we will multiply by 9. Okay, we'll just multiply by 9 and let us call this, right? So when you call this function now, what is the expectation here? What you will get? You will not get 810 here. You will not get 810 because this 90 will be consumed by this argument, and it has only one argument. I don't need to write parenthesis. Even I am doing that one line of operations, I don't need to write a curly braces. So basically this 90 will get multiplied by 9 and your output will be 810.0 because your integer will get converted to double. Let's see that. See, look at here, 810.0 because your integer is getting converted to the double. With this, I'll close the video. In my next video, we will see that some more functional interface which we have as a part of Java 1.8. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching this.